What's up? What's up? Shh.
Here we are.
Are we there?
We are.
there?
We are live. We
Are
are
we
live.
there? We're live. Oh, Finn. We've got to wait for
catch
people.
up.
Would you like a little sweetie?
Biscuit for Finn. We've got the rosé poured, chilled
There
and
you
poured.
go.
Made up.
Oh, happy.
And it's
Anatolia. 1 minute past.
Oh, it's bang on 7 on my watch.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 1 minute 7. Oh,
1 minute past. Oh, it depends. We haven't synchronized. But still, so we can't really say it. Well, it's still 7 on my watch.
We can. Hello, everybody.
Hello. It's Thursday.
It's 7 o'clock, and it's Turkish Delight time.
Turkish night. In fact, what we should really say is İyi akşamlar.
İyi akşamlar, everybody.
Tout le
That's
monde.
about as far as my Turkish goes ever.
Just pull it out again at the end.
You're
Good
very
evening.
lucky this evening, everybody. Good evening. Hi. For everybody who doesn't know us, I'm Pam. This is Jude. Jude is our resident Turk for the evening. She has a statement, a declaration.
Why
having
did you?
spent a bit of time
spent
out
a bit of time
there.
in Turkey, yeah. So I feel like I have a slight authority on the sort of southwest corner.
She knows a hell of a lot more about it than I do, I tell you.
Wasn't great winding then. Right, hello everyone. Here we go.
Hi everyone.
Hannibal-
Nice to see you.
Hannibal Brown is actually on the bike. That's neither of us. We
what?
are not pedaling under here.
What are they talking about?
I think Switey might be on the Hannibal Brown account, and she's exercise biking whilst Turkish wine tasting. Possibly.
Oh, I like the style.
Hi, Penny.
I like the style.
Hi,
Look, I've got a great big paw. I've got a paw on my leg arm here. Can you see this?
Well,
Right,
we are wrapped
okay.
up. We are wrapped up to keep warm, actually, because it
Oh
is
my
cold out
God,
there this
it's
evening.
cold. Is it cold? Is it cold? I've just been batting down the hatches, actually.
Are we batting them down?
Battling down the hatches, actually, trying to keep the cold out.
I know. Evening, Jane and Felicity and Tom and
Hello,
Gemma.
Tom.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Yes, rightly pointed out. So on all of our lockdown lives, we've just been cranking up the heating and wearing T-shirts. But
I know.
it seems a little
I
bit...
succumbed this evening.
It
Bloody
seems
freezing.
a little bit crazy. So let's just put some layers on and be warm. Hi, Luke. Hi, Simon. So, Turkish night.
What's the date today?
It's Thursday, the 11th of February.
11th of Feb. Any relation, anything happening on the 11th of Feb? What's been happening this week?
Well, it's been darn cold, that's for sure.
Scotland won the rugby.
Right, yeah, Pam watched that. I didn't, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Pin. Hello, Clarky and Bob as well. Thanks for signing in.
I don't know what else has been going on. I have to say,
news.
actually, from a
No
Hannibal
news.
Brown point of view, our DIY tasting kits have been going like the clappers.
They have been going
It's
bonkers.
like nobody ever had knew what DIY meant. And now
we are the original, the
it
home
is-
of the original
it is.
DIY tasting
For
kit.
9 years of Hannibal Brown, we have been doing DIY tasting kits. And for 8 years, nobody bought one.
It's not entirely true. We did have a few wine societies.
We probably bought one a year or something.
But no, we never made a big thing of it. But it was
We've certainly made up for it this year.
But it was literally coincidentally, wasn't it? Because it was like this time last year, I said, we should really like rebrand them and make a bit of a thing out of them, I think, because we've got the new website. And
Was that the this time last year at the same moment when we said, let's do lots more outdoor events?
Yes, it was.
Let's do lots more outdoor events.
Yes, exactly.
Such a shame. Such a shame.
Exactly.
We'll get back to it. We will get back to it sooner or later.
But for now, we're very happy and we're very glad that you're joining us to go through these tastings. So, yes,
So here
good
we
point,
are.
Luke. England did win the cricket. We should have some
They did. They
we should have
did.
some Turkish news,
We
really.
should be.
We don't have any specific Turkish news. I imagine the news in Turkey is pretty similar to here in that lockdown, blah, blah, blah. But we're not going to mention all of that because we're here to taste wine and
talk about Turkish Delight.
specifically Turkish Delight.
Turkish Delight, for those of you who didn't know, actually was created in 1777 in Istanbul by some chappie that came a long way from Anatolia in the east, and he trekked along and started selling his wares in Istanbul. And today, this is kind of, I'm amazed by this. That was in 1777, and today that little company, little shop, is still run by his ancestors, his what do you call them?
Yes, family. Yeah,
his family.
Okay, so
and it's still considered to be the best Turkish delight you can get.
So what you're saying, the breaking news, you heard it here first, is that Turkish Delight was invented in Turkey.
But who knew? To be fair, I hate Turkish Delight.
I quite like it.
I don't like it at
I
all.
don't feel like you've educated the nation in this.
Hazelnuts. Hazelnuts. 75% of hazelnuts come from Turkey.
Is that right?
That's right. 75% of the world's hazelnuts are exported from Turkey.
There's an awful lot
something.
More.
A lot of them are in Turkish Delight.
Turkey has an awful lot of claims to fame, and I'm not going to go down them all yet, but I've got some brilliant
tulips.
The tulips is one.
Tulips from
the Dutch.
Istanbul.
Yeah, the Dutch
didn't come from Amsterdam.
The Dutch's tulips phenomenon started from Turkey. They brought them over from Turkey, so that is true.
See, you heard it here first from
couple more quick hellos to Rosie, Susie, and Anya, and obviously Poppy as well. Finn's best mate.
Finn's best mate.
And Şerefe, you're right, Luke. Şerefe is a very important Turkish wine. And red is kırmızı as a colour.
Yes.
And rosé, to be fair, when I was in Turkey, there was no rosé.
No.
In fact, the red and white was pretty awful.
We should talk something about wine.
Yeah, here we go. Right, so everyone, first of all, we are on the lovely Kyra Rosé. So both of these wines we're tasting this evening are from the Kyra winery, which is in Turkey, but all over Turkey.
Do you know, the lovely thing about this Kyra Rosé is the colour. It is so delicate. In fact, it is the most delicate of our roses, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's more delicate than any of the French, the Provençal. It's so delicate, almost sort of like on the edge of sort of like it's so delicate. I thought you were going to say the B word. Orange.
I thought you were going to say the B word.
What's the B word?
Blush.
Blah, blah, blah, blah. No way. No way.
Hi, Giovanni and crew. Well done for making it. Right, so I'm going to put a map of Turkey up.
Please do.
Revel on the colour.
Where's
is
Turkey?
Lovely, delicate.
Where is Turkey?
Colour wine. But here
is it in the Med? Is it in the Med? Controversial
Turkey,
question.
I'm just going to expand this map. This is like a kind of play school version of a map, really, but it's
it.
So basic that it's really easy to get your head around.
That's brilliant. For anybody who didn't know where Anatolia is, it's everywhere.
It's that whole big bit. Okay, here we go. Big, blobby, coloured map of Turkey. Turkey is a rectangle on its side, okay? Top left-hand corner. This is sort of wine regions, basically, is Marmara. There's the Sea of Marmara, which is up there, which hence the name. You've got the Black Sea at the top there, running all the way along. And actually, Turkey's got 8,000 kilometers of coastline. It's a big country.
It's massive.
But it's also surrounded by 8 different countries.
Yeah.
So it's a massive coastline, but it's got loads of neighbours.
Yeah.
So there you are, Marmara. You've got neighbouring with Bulgaria and Greece. Yeah. And that is obviously on the European side. So that little stretch of water which you cross to get from one side to the other, the Bosphorus, well done.
I got that right.
Which divides the continents. So then you've got the Aegean down the west-hand side, which is the Aegean Sea as well. And then the Mediterranean is at the southern coast towards the Mediterranean Sea. And Anatolia,
I don't really know where the Aegean starts and the Mediterranean stops, actually. I think the Mediterranean just like pushes into whatever it can get its hands on.
Well,
maybe that's for tourism.
Oceans.
Is it for tourism?
There's a very little like hard border on an ocean, isn't there? So those are the main areas: Eastern Anatolia, Southeastern Anatolia. Anatolia is like the name for most of Turkey, basically.
Yeah. And we should say actually that the Kalachik is actually just a small place just outside of Ankara, which is bang slap in the middle of the country, as you can see, the capital of Turkey, which I imagine. Well, I don't know whether has anybody been to Ankara?
I think it's quite a sort of like a business district, so it's not really high top on the tourist map. No. I wanted to show you a map of Kyra is quite a big winery. Yeah. Oh, hang on.
Lovely.
Let's just get rid of this for now. Oh, I haven't got my Kyra map. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so stop it, Finn. So this is a map of where Kyra has all its different vineyards and wineries around Turkey. So bearing in mind, there's thousands of miles between these. So they've got wines that come from all different areas, different climates, different grape varieties. But these two wines in particular are from Denizli, which is right here over near Izmir on the west side. Not the coast, but the west hand side, if you can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So both the wines are made from the same grape variety.
Kalachik Karasi.
Yeah. So actually, interestingly, in Turkish, the C is pronounced J, like a J. So here's a little story. When I was working in Turkey, I was working for a company called Sunsail. They do, or used to do, sailing holidays, like sort of club sailing holidays, and all around the world actually. But they don't do them anymore. They just do yacht hire. Simon. Anyway, I took my clothes to the laundry to get them all laundered, as you do when you work in somewhere with a hotel, and I got it all back, and it had cud written on all of the on the labels of all my clothes, CUD, and I'm like, this is sort of some reference to the quality of my knackered old clothes, but as it turns out, that's Jude. So C is a J, U is U, and D is the D. So
excellent.
That's how you spell my name.
Everybody, we just started that 20th year that Jude turned to cud.
Anyway, so there you are. There's a little story. But so the lovely rosé. Someone mentioned, I think it was Penny Woodsy, that it goes really well with the canapés. So although it's very delicate in colour, and this is only 11.5% alcohol, which from a country with a really hot climate is quite unusual. Yeah. But it's got quite big flavour. And the canapé I suggested is Borek, which Finn is desperately trying to get his hands on, even though we don't have any here. And the Boreks are really classic Turkish dish. Everyone will have had them. Basically, phyllo pastry with cheese and spinach rolled up and baked in the oven, or sometimes they fry them. Delicious. But that big kind of saltiness is really good with this wine, because it's kind of quite a bit of oomph and a bit of richness about it.
Yeah. So just to reiterate there, Anisha, so we've got two wines. We've got a red and a rosé, both from the same grape variety, Kalachik Karasi. The obvious statement to make is that actually, how come one is pink and one's red? Well, it is just simply that actually the rosé sits on its skins for a very, very short length of time, and just basically just pulls just a small amount of, almost just like a touch of the color from the skin, from the pigment of the grape skins. And then the nice thing about this wine is it's so clean. It's so clean. It's almost like looking through like distilled water. And I think that is testament to the way in which they look after it once it's fermented. So once it's fermented, you hear us talking a lot about wine sitting on their lees. I think last week we talked about a wine that sits on its lees, and the lees are basically the residue of all the fermentation. So the excess yeast, or everything is still stuck in the wine. This wine is racked off all of its lees very, very quickly to ensure that actually it doesn't sit on any of that, because the winemaker didn't want any additional weight to the wine. He wanted to keep it nice and light and soft and appealing. By the way, the name of the winemaker, his name is Daniel O'Donnell.
There you go, but he's not Irish.
But he's not that. He must be bloody Irish.
It sounds pretty American to me.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's not the Daniel O'Donnell.
All Americans were Irish, though, weren't they? I think.
Or Scottish. Come from everywhere. But anyway, so that's just a little bit about the winemaking technique here, which is it is proper filtered, but actually just taken off its lees to keep that wine nice and light. But it's still got a bit of acidity in there, which means it's got some length. So it doesn't like disappear once you've swallowed it. The flavor just does linger on a little bit, which is quite nice. And I think also just a hint of residual sweetness, which is the residual sugar that's left over after the fermentation. Not very much, would be considered to be dry, but there's just a element of 3, 4, 5 grams or something,
which is
nice.
Good, and
it means it's good with the old spice again.
Yeah, and when you look at your Turkish mezes,
not old spice,
no. When you look at your Turkish mezes, you have the kind of chili, they call it argile, which is like a chili, tomatoey, peppery.
Yeah,
be perfect with it.
Yeah.
So actually, you could have these wines with so many different food types. They're really quite.
I have to say, I think this is the first. I don't think I've ever tasted a Junker Rosé in February. Certainly not when it's -5 degrees outside.
No, but rules are rules.
Although having said
30 degrees in here, so who cares?
Having said that, one of my greatest experiences was skiing, drinking pink champagne with cherries, not cherries, with strawberries.
Ooh.
That was rather nice.
Sort of very unseasonal strawberries. Where do they come from? Peru.
God knows.
Sounds like something you do in Courchevel.
Anyway, anybody got any comments about the rosé? Please, bring them through. Price of this wine.
They're both about kind of 15 quid. I mean, it's not the cheapest wine.
Yes, that is the only problem with this.
But, actually in Turkey, there's a few wineries doing it really well, and really looking for quality.
Yeah.
Didn't stop it. And these guys are one of them. So they've actually, another little nod towards Kyra as a winery is they've actually in 2008 set up a wine academy there, which was a wine centre. But they basically educate people within the wine industry there. If anyone's heard of the Wine and Spirits Education Trust in this country, that's the Turkish arm. So they're looking to kind of train and educate people and build a really good, thriving wine industry.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the Turks have been producing wine for thousands and thousands of years, and arguably longer than anybody.
This is true. There is definite call that first, I mean, you always hear about Georgia being the most ancient wine producing nation, but actually southern central Anatolia is where the history dates back to.
Yeah.
And that's also where the village of the oldest human settlement was discovered, or let's say evidence of. So there wasn't a bunch of ancients sitting there around a fire with a glass of wine, but 7,000 BC or something.
Yeah.
So it really is very ancient history, and it's where they think they can date the wine industry, sort of domestic grape growing back to,
which was about 7,000 years ago.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely ancient.
Yeah.
So,
but commercially speaking, Turkey has really only come into its own since that nasty little bug. Do you remember we were talking last week about the Croatian wine and the Croatian wines that actually experienced phylloxera, but a lot later than the rest of Europe? So phylloxera was this nasty little bug that kicked off in Europe in the mid 1800s, and it sort of eats away at the roots of the vines and basically decimated the whole of Europe. But it picked on certain countries, a bit like a certain disease is going around at the moment. It picked on certain countries.
She always mentions it every week, and I say, let's keep it light.
It picked on certain countries, and certain countries really, really experienced it badly before others. And so, France, Italy, Spain were decimated first. Then Croatia was one of the latest ones, and so was Turkey. So you got to remember that just like Croatia, the French and the Italians and the Spanish needed wine because they want wine. They've got their markets and what have you, and they wanted to consume it. So they approached Turkey, and actually, in fact, Turkey responded and said, fine, okay. So there were millions of liters of wine being sold, Turkish wine being sold across Europe in the sort of late 1800s, early 1900s.
Well, they were one of the biggest exporters, weren't they?
Yeah. They were. It was huge, and then it all fell apart, I suppose, when the whole war and the division thing came along, and
but wonderful Mr. Kemal Atatürk, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, when Turkey got its sort of modern independence and established itself and had he was their first president, he was all for it.
Yeah.
So he actually commissioned and supported the first commercial winery in modern day Turkey.
And
that's
really quite something, actually.
Yeah. I mean, Turkey is
what a president.
Yeah.
No wonder he was so popular.
Well, but also bearing in mind, it is a vastly Muslim country.
Yeah.
So there's domestically there isn't as big a demand for this sort of thing as in fully Christian countries, or what used to be fully Christian countries in Western Europe. So it is kind of back in the 30s, 40s or whatever.
The majority of vineyards are actually grown by Muslims
in Turkey.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the population.
It's about 95% Muslim, I think.
Probably,
very,
probably.
Very high.
And that's not everyone is as strict as as all that. So there's plenty of Muslim Turks who also drink, but the market is very small.
Yeah.
But Turkey is actually the fourth biggest grape grower in the world.
Yeah. However,
most of them for eating.
Most of them are for eating.
Only
like 4 or 5% of Turkish grapes actually turn into wine. Most of it's just for eating grapes.
Yeah, which I mean,
put it in their Turkish Delight.
I don't know what goes in Turkish Delight. Rose water, I know that much.
Hazelnuts.
So here I've got some quite good
stats.
Quite good stats. So, but here's a question I'm going to ask the crowd.
Yes. Let's see where the questions coming in.
So 7%. So of all the alcoholic beverages that are consumed within Turkey, wine accounts for 7%. There is one drink which is 86% of all of the alcohol which is consumed in Turkey. What do you think that is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then actually wine is in second place with just 7%. So,
wowza.
And whilst you think about that, I'm going to just mention a few little Turkey claim to fame.
Okay, I thought you were going to test me on Turkish grape varieties. My God.
Fortunately, we've only got one to get our head around, which is the Kalajik Krasi.
There's thousands, but there's only about 50 odd that really actually are in sort of probably commercial production, and I can pronounce one or maybe two.
There's one which is called Emir, which I hope you would have got. Yeah. There's Kuzguzu.
Yeah. Oh no.
Which has got lots of O's with dots on them.
Yeah. There's Narinci, which is Chardonnay-esque.
Mm-hmm.
For all you lovely Chardonnay lovers out there, we know you love Chardonnay.
There are loads. So a couple of answers come in. John and Georgia. Okay. Both of you, yes, on the board, but not the answer. Raki, as we should really pronounce it, 4%. Because I suppose volume-wise, you can only drink so much. I mean, we gave it a good shot, and you can still only drink so much. And vodka is on there with 1%, but the 86%, not that unusual. Oh, okay. I'll put you out of your misery. You're clearly desperate to know. It's beer. Simply beer. So I would have thought Raki would have been higher up, but actually, again, not that big a percentage of the population drinks alcohol. In actual fact, if you look at their wine statistics, so they produce about 75 million litres of wine a year. Most of it, but not a huge amount, is exported. And actually, the average wine consumption per capita
is a teaspoonful.
No, it's a litre.
A litre
per year. In India, it's a teaspoon.
Okay, it's a litre in Turkey. By comparison to in this country, it's more like something like 23, 25 litres per capita in this country.
Which
just to give you an idea.
Quite enough for most people I know, but
apart from in 2020, 2021, which is considerably more.
Yes. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I'm just gonna move on to the old Rouge here,
Thank
or
you
should
very
we
much.
say Kırmızı?
Yeah, Rouge is good for me.
Think crimson, Kırmızı. Sorry, there's a beekeeper pin. There we are.
So just going back to this grape variety, everybody. So as you know, it makes this lovely rosé, and I know it's got a £15 price point, but actually that rosé really sits very comfortably on our wine range. And if you put it in a blind tasting of rosés, it would come out really well, I think.
Yeah,
it really would. But going back to the grape variety, anybody who's got the red in front of them will notice that actually it hasn't got a huge amount of colour. It's it's kind of, well, it's not quite translucent, but it's certainly not like deep. No. You can't see through it. So that sort of gives you some impression. You think, maybe this is going to be a slightly lighter style, and it is. And to all intents and purposes, Kalashik Karasi it compares really well with Pinot Noir, and even better because you've noticed we've got our little jackets on this evening because it's a little bit nippy, although it's warming up now. It actually drinks very nicely at a slightly cooler temperature.
Yeah, this temperature is perfect.
So this came out of our Hannibal Brown World Headquarters cellar earlier on at probably 0 degrees.
Which is probably close to the temperature of my toes.
Probably close to freezing. And it's probably now about sort of 8-9 degrees.
Yeah, maybe 10. But it's still cool.
Nice and chilled.
And it works.
Yeah, because just like Pinot Noir, it doesn't have very high tannic content, so it doesn't have that sort of like dry rasping energy in it that you get in some grape varieties, which means it's just nice to sit back and quaff.
Yeah, so it's got a really nice
saying "Ik shamla,"
which means good evening, by the way,
over and over again.
Or as Luke points out, teşekkürler, which is thank you, or teşekkür.
Oh, Luke,
you can sit back, put your feet up. Although Luke was mispronouncing it and saying something rude, as he pointed out. But there's actually quite a few Turkish words that overlap and you can get quite wrong. And there's also Turkish words that sound a little bit rude, but are actually perfectly
acceptable.
For example,
cud,
bollock means fish.
Oh yes.
Anyway,
I like that.
So here you go. So if you whilst you sit and contemplate this, and I'm really glad actually, Luke, you've said that they go really well with the Borak, because I think it's a delicious combination. This wine has got good flavour and it's not too heavy, but it'll go really well with that kind of salty, cheesy pastry.
Yeah.
Again, but it will also go well with your sort of lamb koftas and aubergine.
Nice ripeness.
Yeah, it's got quite a big flavour to it. I mean, it's other end of the scale to the rosé is 14.5%, so it does pack a little punch.
Yeah.
But here you go. Here's I'm gonna tell you some more facts.
Yeah.
Some more interesting facts about Turkey's claim to fame, because I think historically it's sometimes overlooked. In Europe, gets a lot of credit for a lot of things.
Yeah.
So the word turquoise.
Oh,
the word turquoise.
Yes,
it's got the Turk in it, which is, seemingly from the
color
of the Mediterranean, basically.
Okay.
And tulips, we've already said.
Tulips.
Santa Claus is buried there.
Oh yeah, he comes from there, doesn't he?
He's
Pantara or
I've
something.
actually been to this.
Has anybody been to Pantara? Isn't it got a big amphitheatre of some sort?
What's it called?
Pantara.
Pineto.
Pantara.
There's a place called Mira.
Sure, Santa Claus is supposed to come from Turkey.
Well, he's there. There is the Chapel of St. Nicholas in the place called Mira, which is on the south coast.
Yeah.
And in there is what do you call it? A sarcophagus, which is meant to be where he's buried, St. Nicholas.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that quite a lot of countries kind of.
I hope there's no kids listening. Pay no attention. Any children listening to this? He's not dead. He's not dead.
His spirit delivers presents all over the world once a year.
Okay, tell us some more.
So Santa Claus. I think that's quite a good claim to fame for again a sort of mainly Muslim country.
Yeah.
The first man ever to fly
was Turkish
with 2 wings.
Was he really?
Flew over the Bosphorus.
Wow. Goodness me.
Which is quite a good claim to fame, I think. Although it's quite a punchy thing to choose to fly over a body of water.
Have the Turks got a good? Have they got as the Turkish Airlines? Is there a?
I don't know. I think they've got quite good safety record.
Good safety record,
as far as I'm aware. But
because they've been flying for thousands of years, is what we're going to say, is it?
Yeah, there's one man invented it. Here's a good one. There's a real, very very famous biblical story. Which
3 wise men
kind of
Jesus
culminates on Mount Ararat, which is out on the sort of east of Turkey.
Yes.
Any idea? Olive branch.
Oh yeah. Go on.
So Noah's Ark landed on Mount Ararat. Obviously, this is sort of fact.
Right, Mount Ararat. Okay.
So there's a lot of biblical significance about lots of Turkish places, and actually I've got a couple of places. If you haven't been there, I know none of us can go anywhere, and I think that's why I wanted to show you a couple of pictures.
Let's talk about the troglodytes. We talked about them.
Pam mentioned the troglodytes in the Loire.
Samur, the biggest troglodyte dwelling in France, possibly Europe. Maybe not, because wait till you see this, everybody.
So I've been here actually, and let me just find the photo, and then I'll see. There's 2 photos. I'll show you this one first because that's quite a goodie. There's in central Turkey. There's an region or place called Cappadocia, and here it's an amazing place where they filmed some Star Wars scenes actually when they did the new round of Star Wars films, and all of these. They call them kind of fairy towers is roughly how they translate. They're a bit phallic actually, but these are rock formations that people live in. But I stayed in one, and they're genuinely sort of carved out. My bedroom, if you like, was my mattress was on a stone carved out platform with some little stone areas in the walls with candles and stuff in it. Really, really nice, proper stunning. So this is a village called Gureme. And there's a lot of historical significance. There's actually like a kind of, I suppose, what we would call an open air museum. Sorry, that's not it. Here, where there's loads of like cathedrals and historical Christian spaces carved into rocks with lots of ancient paintings. But these are all Christian places of worship. And it's really fascinating. And there is one which is St. Paul, I think, was meant to have been resident there for some period of time. Obviously my history is a bit blooming shady. But anyway, it's got to go. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And just worth every minute.
But here's
Go on.
Oh. Well, I was just going to sort of relate that back to wine because that's
we
why
are
we're here.
Yeah,
and just say actually kind of because it's limestone formations with a little bit of well, probably just like loam, sandy something. And you would think, okay, well, actually, how do we manage to grow wine in Turkey that is like relatively drinkable? Well, this is very drinkable because it's so ridiculously hot.
Yes.
And if they did it on limestone, they wouldn't. But actually, the reality is that these wines are grown on soils that are quite a little bit of clay. And the great thing about clay, so long as there's not too much of it, not too much clay out here at the moment because it'd be really, really stodgy and what have you.
Never get down.
But in a super hot country like that, it is very good for actually retaining a little bit of water. And that's what vines need. They just need a little bit of water for them to flourish. But so, yeah, that's how they do it. Yeah. Bit of clay.
Brilliant.
Bit of limestone,
brilliant. Nature.
Bit of loam. But it's kind of interesting to see that, actually, because that's exactly the kind of chalk soils that you get in Saumur, which was what we were talking about last week.
And even Chablis and those sorts of areas, that harder.
Don't know there are any troglodytes in Chablis.
No, but soils.
Yes.
Soils.
I think it's probably a harder chalk.
More rock.
I know it's a soft chalk in Saumur. It must be over there as well. Otherwise, nobody would start.
You wouldn't be able to get your house out of it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, these wines are produced in Denizli, which is
again quite central.
Sort of, west. If you look at the whole of Turkey, it looks quite west, but actually it's probably still 150 kilometers inland, or even more probably.
Yeah.
And there, I suppose Denizli has another tourism claim to fame. Whilst I'm shouting the virtues of Turkey,
Go for it.
So there's an area, or there's a place of a good tourist attraction called Pamukkale. Now, Luke has obviously been to Turkey, and I'm imagining you've probably been there. Now, Pamukkale is this amazing formations of like calcium pools that you see on all the postcards, and it looks like a sort of ski resort. I have got a very, very small picture of them, the idyllic version.
You have to make that
so
bigger,
this is
everybody.
Central Turkey, and they are natural pools. They're mineral pools, and that's all calcium formation that's formed on the rocks over the years. It's bright white. Actually, these days, when I say these days, 15 years ago when I was there,
they're not quite so white as they were.
There's been a lot of paddlers, so a lot of tourists paddling your feet in, walking through, suntan lotion on, grubby legs, and
lovely.
They have taken on a slightly browner hue. So they have actually stopped people going into a lot of them, which is kind of sad, but actually much better for the whole beauty of the area. But again, look at all that calcium in the rock. They're really rich in minerals, which is good for the vines.
Good for flinty wines.
Hard stone for the vines to work hard to get into. Work really hard getting really good quality flavors out and nutrients out.
Yeah.
So all indicators lead to good quality wines from Turkey. Lucas suggested that we do a Hannibal Brown tour of Turkey, flying with Turkish Airways. Which
Why not?
That's a fine
idea. Anybody who fancies coming again, jumping on the bandwagon, please do. So just going back then, actually, so these are just a couple of the Turkish wines that we have followed Cairo for quite some time. Actually, it's only recently we introduced the red, but we have done the rosé for a long time, and they are really reliable. They're a really reliable winery. They've got a very good winemaking team out there. I mean, I know his name's Daniel O'Donnell, and you can't really take that too seriously, but he is a serious American winemaker.
No, very good.
He really is. He's a proper flying wine consultant. And the proof is in the pudding. And I think, both available on our website, hannibalbrown.com. 15 quid a pop or so.
Thereabouts, that's a real rough. I think one might be 16.50 and the other 15.
And if you like this kind of style of rosé or red, then as I said, the red is kind of hits along Pinot Noir-esque styles. So Villa Wolf Pinot Noir from Germany would be a good comparative. So if you've had that, that's around about £12.75, I think.
Yeah, brilliant value, fantastic wines.
Yeah, and then on the rosé front, possibly something like the Moroccan, what's it called?
The Domaine de la Zouina,
Domaine de la Zouina. I forgot
Moroccan rosé. Volubilia Gris.
Volubilia Gris, which is a little bit drier than this particular wine, only a tad little drier, but very similar in style.
Now we have got, so this time next week is there's more to Portugal than just port. Yes. And we have a couple of phenomenally good wines from Portugal. One brand new to our range, which is the red, which is from Dow. And then the white is a Vinho Verde, but brilliant Vinho Verde from Vinho Verde in the north. That is a biodynamic producer, and it's really lovely and rich. It's a fabulous wine.
And we all know what biodynamic means, don't we? Yes.
Well, you know, it's come if you need to. So that's for next week. And we are still, week by week, really planning for the next week because we never really know what's going on. No. But if you have, again, any suggestions, then put them out there because we will, we're very happy to take suggestions.
We do have the wine quiz up our sleeve. We have the wine quiz sitting here up our sleeve somewhere. It's coming.
Indeed. And I'm kind of angling for Moroccan night, but Pam's not necessarily taken by that one. So
it means sitting on puffs again.
I know, but that was brilliant. Apart from that was the Lebanese night we had last year. Well, it would have been great, apart from our wine was corked.
Yes.
Anyway, so keep in touch. Obviously, DIY tasting kits. If you're getting bored and you need a bit of entertainment with your family, give us a shout. We've got a massive range from the mini kits, which are 3 bottles, full-size bottles, mind.
Yeah.
Through to the normal, which is 6, and then the extra large, which is 12.
Yeah. Remember also that all of these vids are held on YouTube, so you can always go back to YouTube if you've missed one, or you just want a quick refresher, just like zoom up and down until you find the best bit. All of these wines, all of our Lockdown Live wines, are in a case called the Lockdown Live case.
Yep.
Just go on to HannibalBrown.com and just tap in lockdown, and all sorts of stuff will come up, I suppose. And then next week, the Portuguese wines and the recipe will be up.
The recipe. Soon. Yeah, well done, everyone who made the Borek tonight. I will get that recipe up. I need to get my
One thing to say, everybody, delivery is a little bit slow at the moment because of snow, can you believe, and especially in Scotland and over in the east, but that should sort itself out shortly. But
more time the better.
Yeah,
really. We'll try and get things out as soon as you ask for them. Pretty much. So
okay.
But in the meantime, thank you very much, Teşekkür ederim, for joining us. I don't know what for joining us is.
I just have to say iyi akşamlar over and over again.
You could say görüşürüz, which is
görüşürüz, everybody.
See you later. And yeah, thanks for joining. See you in Portugal. We'll go.
See you in Portugal, 7 o'clock next week. Now. See you there.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Say bye, Finn.
Bye, Finn.
You actually did that. Bye.